Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another Brony Debates. I hope you're all doing well out there and enjoying your weekend. We've got a topic that I've been eager to get to for a while here. That was suggested by SazerLite, a longtime supporter of the channel. He wants to know, can bad endings ruin good stories? And for that, we brought him on tonight. How are you doing tonight, Sazer?
I'm doing fairly well, thank you.
Awesome. And to help us talk about this, we got Silver Quill tonight. How are you doing, Silver?
I'm doing quite well as we enter our special, When Bad Endings Attack Mediocre Stories.
Interesting. DJ, how are you doing?
I'm doing quite all right. I'm very eager to vent.
Vent. All right. That means we're going to have some spicy... We got two people with spicy takes here. And then we got Cordero, who usually has the spiciest of takes. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Hey, what's going on, guys? I will probably have the most boring take the whole night, but we'll see how it goes.
Alrighty then. So, we're gonna shout out the patrons real quick. Very grateful to everyone who supports the channel. If you like what you see, there are support links in the description, as well as a tip jar where you can drop a little bead in the mini-me's head on the bottom right screen there. The goal there is to knock that bowl over. There's also the $10 and up tier on Patreon and Subscribestar. Princess Heather Blossom, Shady Oak Ministries, Sid McConroy, Autoknight, Emerald Spencer, Senko, DJ Skywalker, who's with us, Rein-Kun, Pony Cordero, who's with us, QFlash, Billy Henline, Alden MacManx, EasyModeGamer, Canto Acrylic VA, Mr. Sonic 31, Ridge the Hedgehog, Alicia Lynette, Zeta Z, Sniper Nighter, Calbeck, Star Chaser, and Dark Malcontent, author of the Metaverse series. If you would like to get on the show, we'd love to have you. Just support for as little as $1 a month. Anyway, Sazer, what inspired this topic suggestion?
Well, there's a number of examples I could point to, but probably the biggest one I would have to point to would have to be Samurai Jack. I assume you've all seen it. Is particularly the ending of season 5. Actually, quick question: Should we bring up spoilers for this topic?
It has been
Spoilers will happen.
It has been 6 years since that aired. People can deal with it if they haven't gotten around to seeing it by now.
I think we normally have a general spoiler warning, unless like the thing like came out, within the last few months. So like, if you're listening to the show and you hear the name of a show brought up that you want to watch, just first of all scream, and then exit the stream.
But anyway, Samurai Jack spoilers, whatever. At the end of season 5, Samurai Jack, ultimately succeeds on the quest that he intended to. Get back to the past, Samurai Jack, and he defeats Aku, and everything seems fine and well until two things. One, Ashi, his girlfriend and soon-to-be wife, disappears, and by proxy, essentially all of his friends, all of his experiences, just all the worlds and civilizations that he has befriended throughout the series are gone because he had changed the past. And it left a lot of fans, including myself, kind of dissatisfied and kind of hollow, because a lot of us feel like this ending didn't exactly feel earned per se. Like, here, I get what Genndy Tartakovsky was trying to do. He was trying to go for a more bittersweet ending, but I'm not sure if he really succeeded. Now, thing is, does this ruin the rest of the show, whether it be season 5 or the rest of the original series, seasons 1 through 4? I'm going to lean towards no, because most of the episodes are very standalone. You can watch them individually at any random time and still get a lot of enjoyment out of them because they really stand out. But there's also the angle that most of the episodes focus on him trying to find his way back to the past. If we now know that if he goes back to the past, everything that he has done no longer matters anymore, does that ruin or at least damage the enjoyment that you could have for the series anymore, knowing that?
So what do you guys think about the Samurai Jack example?
I agree.
It makes me so sad as a creator. Time travel makes no sense.
That
Very
Um,
insightful.
that and I agree that it's a weak ending, and I also agree I don't think it ruins all. Especially if you look at Samurai Jack as a whole, definitely doesn't ruin it. It's a very worthwhile show to watch, all the way up through the bad endings because that I think left most people, including me, unsatisfied. But it wasn't such a slap in the face that it just ruins everything. At least I didn't feel that way.
Samurai Jack for me was, like I hated that ending, but it was just one aspect of the ending, so it didn't really undo everything for me. It was just, why did it take Ashi, like, presumably, days or weeks or months to finally disappear? If Aku was dead and then none of that happened, you would figure she would just fade out right then and there.
Oh, there's an easy lore explanation for that. That was for the plot convenience of having her disappear at the emotionally most opportunistic time, which would be during her own wedding.
Yeah, but you see, then I know you're just trying to. I know you're just trying to play me, and thus it loses all of its effect. So
it was a cheap shot to up the emotional impact of her disappearing.
yeah,
Yeah, it's just for drama.
Yeah.
So
Well, that and Andy Tatakarski grows stronger when he drinks the tears of fans. You have all contributed to his immortality.
Yeah, and that's what, and it's especially hard to watch given the fact that we've been waiting for this ending for years essentially, and to see him just kind of trip over the finish line at the very end just feels very disheartening to a lot of fans.
the thing about, here's my theory, is Tartakovsky got so annoyed with fans of Samurai Jack telling him to finish it over and over again over the course of what, like 14 years or something like that, that right at the end he just sucker punched us as his form of artistic revenge. That's my theory. Generally, I'm of the mindset that the ending is the most important part of your story because it's the part that wraps everything up and it's the part that everybody remembers the most. At least it is for me, and I think it is for most people, but I'm kind of going out on a limb saying that. So
From the audience perspective, that makes sense, but I could make the literal opposite case that the ending is the least important.
or the most important.
You just made the case that it's the most important. I could make the opposite point that it's the least important.
Yeah, so that's that's the thing that is supposed to tie it all together, to wrap up all your plot points, and that just shows me that, like, if you have a bad ending, that you wrote yourself into a corner, that you didn't really think ahead about what you were doing, it's just it's a lack of writing skill, and I do think it ruins things. Now, Samurai Jack is probably my only exception to that rule because the rest of the show is about as close to perfect as you can possibly get, and then there's just one aspect of the ending that doesn't make sense from, well, a logical standpoint. I definitely know from an emotional standpoint it was supposed to, the effect that it was supposed to have and did have on a lot of people. So that's like the one exception. But goodness, what?
Do you want to know why so many shows that have good premises and good execution fumble the ending?
Why?
It goes back to the point you were making. The reason that I wanted to make the counterpoint of, well, you could argue the ending is the least important, is because from the audience perspective, the ending is the most important because that's the culmination of your investment in the story. As like, how satisfied are you going to be? So that makes sense from an audience perspective. But from a writer's perspective, the ending is the least important part of the story. From the writing perspective, you want the audience to watch what you've made, to consume it, and get to the ending. So for the writer, the most important part is the beginning, is the hook, is the premise, is getting you invested. And then once you're invested, then you're going to be willing to put up with, for lack of a better word, the show's bullshit in order to get to that satisfying ending. And so if the writer punts on the ending but nails the premise, nails the hook, and has a nice middle section story and maybe a decent climax, but then punts the very ending or the denouement, well, from the writer's perspective, I did 95% of my job. The audience got all the way to the end, and at least I made a product that was good. And I that's my theory for the night. I just pulled this out of my ass of why so many endings get fumbled is because all of the creative juice goes into basically getting the ball rolling. And then once the ball's rolling, it's like, well, when does the ball stop? How many seasons do we get? We don't know. We get a nebulous amount of season depending on network politics and such and fan reaction. So we got to make sure we get the ball going well. Okay, good, it's going well. Hey, this is going to be the final season. Oh, how do we end this? Yeah. And there you go. Not that this excuses it or is a great thing, but I think that's a good explanation of why so many endings are weak compared to the rest of the series. Very often.
Well, that's because shows like that don't have an end, don't have a full story, beginning, middle, and end planned out.
Correct. Unlike a novelist.
Yeah, like
notice that novelists are pretty good at endings because novelists know when they're ending. Yeah.
Right, exactly. They have everything planned out. Showrunners typically don't do that.
Yes.
They just keep trying to keep going until they have to conclude.
Yes.
Samurai Jack, I think, is an odd example because I don't know how long he had planned, how far ahead he had thought, okay, I'm going to end this story here. I mean, Gravity Falls right off the bat, like they knew how it's going to begin, how it's going to start, where it's going to go, and how it's going to end. And that's why it had such a satisfying ending.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, you need to be land properly. And yeah, I agree with Al1701 in the comments here. He's a friend of mine. Says they shouldn't have had Jack return to the past, defeat Aku in the future, and stay there, help the world recover from his evil. I think that could have been an interesting alternate ending.
Read the comics.
I'll agree with that.
I didn't know there were Samurai Jack comics.
Yeah, the comics actually ended the series before it returned to animation, so you actually have two different endings.
3 if you count the video game.
Yeah, I was about to bring up the video game as well.
And that was something DJ's been holding on to. Let's hear about the video game, DJ.
Okay. Who here has heard of BioShock?
Yes.
Yes.
Is a man not entitled to the sweat of his brow?
Love this trilogy.
I believe it was last year. I did my first playthrough ever of the entire BioShock series on stream. From the first one, which I thought was okay. I had a lot more fun with the second one. Infinite, I was enjoying, and then it ended. I was so annoyed by the ending of Infinite, it has retroactively ruined BioShock for me.
So what was the story of Infinite like, and then how did it end that got you so angry?
So the story of BioShock Infinite is you're basically this private investigator kind of thing who ends up in the midst of this political affair in this city in the clouds. And you end up with this this young woman tagging along who is like the adoptive daughter of the guy in charge. And she has this power to open up gates to other worlds, which at the time, it's hard to tell if that's exactly what she's doing or not. But throughout the game, you and her are paired up together trying to basically escape from the city and try and stop it from killing everybody. And by the end of it, it turns into a prequel to BioShock 1 and 2. How things led to the way they were, which was not explained very well. And it turns out that your character is an alternate dimension of the bad guy who is her biological father, and it ends with versions of her from other universes drowning you at your baptism.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I kind of remember that. I just remember the ending being very surreal.
Oh, when does M. Night Shyamalan pop out and say, "What a twist"?
I mean, M. Night Shyamalan would be another great example of just many bad endings ruining good stories. Honestly.
Does your player character tell this girl to smile at some point? Because then he would have earned it. He deserves to be drowned.
No, honestly, he's only drowned for the greater good because apparently
Yeah, I know,
it will
I know.
kill off his other alternate universe self.
Yeah, and
The
then
great
and then
good.
he can't be Captain McNazi Pants in Confederate McCloud Nazi skies. It's
So
really heavy-handed.
So how
moral?
how did that ending ruin the rest of the story?
Because the ending of BioShock Infinite has you hopping from world to world. Basically, all the abilities and powers from BioShock 1 and 2 only exist because they come from a parallel world. That's the explanation of how the city in BioShock 1 and 2 basically came to be with its power.
Do they ever explain like how the parallel worlds like work or why there are parallel worlds?
No, they just exist.
Okay.
And
I
she
mean-
just has the ability to go through them.
I mean, soft magic system. That's fine. That doesn't bother me.
Timey-wimey, wobbly, bobbly stuff.
It's
I don't know how you say it.
It's soft magic, but it gives an explanation to something that didn't need one from 1 and 2.
Yeah.
It just, you had these powers in canisters that drove people crazy. That was a thing that was fine enough
Yeah.
and believable in 1 and 2. It didn't need this convoluted explanation that there's like 50 different parallel worlds that keep
There's always a
messing with
man.
each
There's
other.
always a city. There's always that whole theme.
Yeah.
Multiversal worlds has always felt like a cop-out to me.
I love multiversal. That's my favorite theme park.
That's my thought towards time travel. Like I've always skeptical about time travel in stories because it just leads to many questions. Though that being said, would you say that you can't enjoy BioShock 1 or 2 the same way again anymore?
Well, that's just the thing, though. I love multiverse stuff. I love that concept. I don't love it when you try to use it retroactively to explain the first two. It'd be fine if they connected afterwards, but they made this a prequel to why things exist. We didn't need a why. It just existed. It was fine enough with the backstory it had, is that some crazy dude thought building a giant city underwater was going to be a utopia and then fricked it up.
Yeah, so that sounds like
And then they had the gall to release a DLC which directly ties into 1, showing that another version of your partner character from Infinite is the reason your character in 1 ends up in the city.
Okay.
So that sounds like the ending revealed an issue with the story itself, which I believe is a point that Silver Quill was going to make tonight. So, Silver, do you want to
Well, the ending
into...
created the issue. That it wasn't an issue before, and then they made it one.
So
they retroactively made it an issue.
Yeah.
Are you sure they didn't? Are you sure they didn't just get their script mixed up with the Jerry Springer episode?
Oh my god.
You are the parallel father, Jerry. Jerry.
You are the father that accidentally cut his daughter's head off. Yay!
Hooray.
Yes, it actually happens in the game.
It's up there with it was a dream all along. That's a very lazy cop
Listen,
out.
Accidentally cutting your daughter's head, it's a common mistake that could happen to anyone.
Yeah, have fun
Very
with portals, kids.
Yeah,
Be
well,
careful
you know,
what you put through.
if your kid's real airhead.
Damn.
Yeah. Well, yes,
then.
I am here to represent the view of. Well, at first I was going to just simply say yes, but then I thought about all the shows or that I watched that. Well, if they had an ending, it wasn't a very good ending, or they ended on a cliffhanger, which is even more frustrating. Looking at you, 90s cartoons, Sonic Sat AM. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that while the ending makes the biggest impact, very often there are flaws in the story overall that lead to a disappointing ending. It's not been my experience that an ending is by itself ruining the whole shebang. I'd say the only time I can really say that an ending just left me flabbergasted was the very first time I saw Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good one.
That's a great ending.
I mean,
you're not
ending
paying
ever.
very close attention that whole movie, because the foreshadowing of that ending comes and goes in like 5 seconds randomly throughout the movie.
I mean, they basically added it in post. That was real. They were literally arrested by real police for guerrilla filming.
Okay,
Guerrilla film?
I didn't
That
know
is
that.
real
Really?
footage. That is real footage of them arrested. They had a different ending planned for the movie, but instead they just took the footage of them getting arrested, and then they added the constable looking and like meeting with the people. That was like reshoots, and then they threw that into the movie and then made that the ending.
Oh, that's strange. I always heard it was just that they ran out of money and had to go for the abrupt ending.
I thought they just went with the abrupt ending just because they thought it would be funny.
They might exactly, but they might have actually run out of money. Like that could have been a real problem, and then they're like, "Wait, we just got arrested, and it's all on camera. Fuck, boys, that's our ending. We nailed it." And it's a genius, and it's a genius ending. Yeah, if you watch like interviews with they'll tell the story about how like, yeah, that was real. Those were real police actually arresting us for filming on like on historical sites without permission.
Well, you learn something new every day.
Yeah, there we go. I've got the answer to Brony's question at the end of the stream all set up. But
Nice.
okay, let's talk Samurai Jack, which is a little odd for me because I do not consider that a bad ending. I come back to what Jack said to Ashi about his parents. You know, that's the only place they can live now in my memories. Well, now you've got the reversal. All those individuals he met, all those friends that he spared from a life under Aku, but they now live in his memories. And Jack, the world's greatest hero, its savior, is never going to have shrines dedicated to him or memorials because the future he helped avert, well, never happened. And then you get into the whole game, which is re-retconning whether Ashi lives or dies, and well, take from that what you will.
Double retcon.
But
what are we, Disney?
Disney, we're going Marvel levels at this point, which I admittedly is also partially Disney.
Felt that was more of a Star Wars thing.
Don't even get me started on Star Wars.
That's what I was thinking for the double retcon.
Double retcon.
My poor books.
You thought you had a happy ending? Screw you. We've got a new trilogy.
They're all fan fiction. Everything's fan fiction now. All the books, all the everything.
But let's
nothing is licensed. That's Disney's new stance.
There you go. But I'm thinking like Game of Thrones. Ending was very, very frustrating. Did not enjoy the dynamics. But really, the writing was on the wall with a lot of the episodes that they were doing. Well, now that they no longer had Martin's guidance, the story was really degrading, and they were trying to wrap it up quick. So while the ending makes it disappointing, you can see that really it was more of a story writing trouble than just the ending. And I would also argue that having seen the ending, of course, your experience on watching older episodes is going to be changed. You now have new information, which you have to integrate into your worldview, and it will impact your view on things. You might be furious at an episode which hinted so strongly at this one path that was never realized, or you may be more forgiving to another episode that seemed to be going down the wrong way, but ultimately turned out harmless. Or you may hate the whole shebang, in which case, well, I pity you.
I can't wait for Game of Thrones Brotherhood to come out.
Game of Thrones Brother. Oh, yes, where they go with the true ending. That'll be in 2173 when the AI bot modeled after George R.R. Martin finally completes the series.
Oh, what do you know? Right around the same time we expect One Piece to end.
There you go.
Perfect. And yeah, I have not seen Game of Thrones at all, but I've heard many things, people saying that yeah, it's really going in a really wrong direction.
I heard that the ending of Game of Thrones was so bad that
how bad was it?
Literally overnight, anybody selling Game of Thrones merchandise just couldn't even move it anymore. Like,
Now
Yeah,
they have
it's-
prequels
Yeah.
now.
That's not quite Johnny Carson material, but we'll work on it.
well, it's not supposed to be Johnny Carson material. It's just supposed to be like they were selling a bunch of Game of Thrones stuff, and then the ending aired, and then it just dried up instantly. It's like the fan base evaporated overnight, which has never happened to anything else before, which is, why that was so significant.
It was thrown out with the Starbucks cup that was left in the shop on the table.
Although apparently the prequel has brought fans back somehow.
Yeah, so
I guess.
Silver, your general argument is that if the ending was bad, the story probably had a lot of issues in the first place.
It did, and well, to go back to Samurai Jack, if you felt frustrated with the ending, were there other elements of the final season that you felt were taking it in a frustrating direction, or perhaps delaying the focus? Too much time here.
Me personally, no. I thought it was perfect right up until the wedding scene.
I think the finale as a whole, was very flawed because of just very weird pacing issues. I think even just the entire climax, I felt was kind of rushed in certain ways. So that kind of left me a bit unsatisfied as well. It's just that the ending with the wedding and everything, and just the very bittersweet, conclusion, just left me with a feeling of I don't know if that was really good, and I don't know if I liked the way this went. I don't know, to see Samurai Jack go through so many hardships only to have him be kicked in the balls one last time at the end just didn't feel deserved.
Now,
I don't know,
apparently that is common of the genre that Samurai Jack is taking after with the Ronin genre.
Dystopian
usually.
cyberpunk? Oh, the other half of the genre.
Yeah,
It's supposed to be bittersweet.
right, which is typically how
not
those
perfect.
things end.
Does Samurai Jack count as an isekai?
No, it does not.
This debate is now. That's what this debate is now.
Yeah.
I've changed the debate topic.
Personally,
Samurai Jack is an isekai. I'll say it.
Personally, I wasn't a fan of the wedding, but I thought the ending scene made up for it.
You mean with him under the cherry blossom tree?
The cherry blossom tree and the sun rising over, showing that it's only the start of a new journey.
I can appreciate what Gendy was trying to do, but I don't know if he really earned it.
Well, maybe we have changed this into the Samurai Jack debate.
The Samurai Jack, we were touching on it earlier. It does feel like it was a longer story, like from where they picked up to finish it off. That they needed more time, and then they suddenly didn't have the time, and that's where that ending came from.
Yeah, some of the episodes I
feels
don't
that
think
way.
were utilized all that well in the series, because the season started off fantastically.
Oh,
and
yeah.
mind you, this is coming from a person who didn't grow up with Samurai Jack. I only started watching the series soon before season 5 was coming.
Yeah.
And I got sucked in instantly. I fell in love with the series. It is so freaking good.
It is, yeah.
And to see it end on this note just felt I don't know, it just didn't feel right.
Empty. Yeah, it'll do that.
So-
Let me.
A while ago, when I asked Silver if he wanted to come on for this topic, he mentioned Star versus the Forces of Evil, and that
Yes.
and that had a series ruining ending for me as well, because it just showed that they had all
was
these.
it because of Starco or was it
No,
more
that
than
was the
Starco?
last thing, and I'm probably the only
Spoilers.
person who thinks that. But that was Starco was the last thing on my mind. I had no problem with Starco.
It was kind of set up by the entire everything of the series.
Yeah, it was going on for a long time, and it was a slow boil, which is my kind of thing in terms of how if I think something is realistic or not. But the end, they're talking about, we got to get rid of the magic. We got to the magic is what's causing all of these problems, and it's really the only way to defeat the villain and somehow save the world. But that didn't make any sense because yeah, you're gonna save Marco's world, but all the other worlds that are
Yeah.
purely magic based are gonna die. And
Just
Marco
genocided.
Marco even like
Actually
turned
genocided.
Marco even turned to Hekapu and goes, "Listen, if we do this, you're gonna cease to exist." And Hekapu's like, "Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
just
do it.
yeah, and then she's gone, but then somehow the worlds merge, and then there's like all these mythical creatures flying all over the place, and physics are all wonky everywhere, and there's planes crashing and cars running into each other, and it's just mayhem everywhere. And and then Starco, and Starco's the main focus of that, but it's like, okay, I thought you said magic was gone. So what this tells me is that you had what this shows to me is that you had a dozen plot points that you were waiting to wrap up and then couldn't for whatever reason, or just refused to, and then you just pulled this. And it sort of plays into what Silver was saying a little bit there. It just shows that I'm sitting here waiting for you to wrap up all these plot points, and then you don't. And that just tells me that, and now that there was a million hilarious things that happened in Star versus the Forces of Evil. I do remember enjoying that show greatly, like 90% of the time.
Yeah, me too.
And I can't remember it because the ending was so bad and left such an impression. Let me ask you guys this.
I still remember the ending.
Let me ask you guys this real quick, because I had posed my theory at towards the beginning here that the ending is what sticks with most people. Be honest with me as we go down the panel here. What do you remember the most about any given story that you ingest? Is it or is it not the ending, Cordero?
It depends on the story. It absolutely depends on the story.
DJ.
I think usually for me it's the climax, not the end.
Interesting. Sazer.
That's another.
Unless the ending is just that bad, then that's the only thing that sticks with me.
Sazer.
Could you? Sorry. Could you repeat that question really quick?
Is it true the ending is what you remember the most of a story?
I mean, usually yes. Depends on what the end, what kind. I guess it kind of depends on the genre. If the ending is some sort of like climax or something, typically the answer should be yes and everything, because I mean it's kind of supposed to. That's typically how a story like this should go.
Yeah,
I would say yes.
And Silver, what do you think?
Unless there is like some major twist scene, which is usually the big standout, I'd say that yes, usually the ending does make the biggest imprint.
Right. So that's my point right there. So we've got climax. We got DJ saying climax, which is usually part of the ending, depending on the pacing in your format. The climax, and then following the climax, there's the falling action and the conclusion. And if you're talking about a TV show or an episode of a TV show, those are within a couple of minutes of each other. So there's, for the most part, climax. Sazer brought up a similar point of climax and ending usually being pretty close to each other. So most of us here say the ending is the most memorable part. I'd say 4.5 of us, because Cordero says it depends.
It does depend. Like I will give you examples. Like when I rewatch DS9, one of my favorite Star Trek series of all times. The ending is good. It's not a bad ending. It's a pretty good ending. But like the last couple episodes are not the best part of DS9 or the most memorable part. There are so many points in between. It's a fake, if you know that meme. There's so many parts of DS9 that has so many high points along the way that I remember a lot of those high points a lot better than I remember the ending. here's an example: the Mission Impossible, the first Mission Impossible movie with Tom Cruise. I remember the beginning more than anything else. That opening mission is now the whole movie's great. I love the whole movie, and I do remember how it ends. I know how the movie goes, but that opening mission in the like mansion or like where in like the governor's house or whatever where that party is, that is such an iconic mission that like that's what sticks out most to me for that. So that's what I meant when I said it depends. I'm literally thinking of media that I've consumed where I remember other things besides the end and the most. And of course, there's plenty of things where the ending is the part. Like I can get that being it for most people, but there's plenty of stuff that's not the ending I remember the most.
So what do you guys? What do you guys think about all that? Is there anything you want to add or take away from anything I've said or what Cordero said?
To the Star Butterfly part, but if someone else can go first, because I just talked.
Well, I quoted Star Versus, but the truth is I've not seen the whole series. Therefore, I can't.
Spoilers.
I have just heard. Oh, please! At this point, the rage permeating the internet. But from what I understand, there were things leading up to the ending that people were not enjoying, including the will they, won't they of Starco. It seemed to be dragging on longer than people wanted. I appreciate a slow building romance, but then we reach Inuyasha levels, and I'm like, oh, get on with it.
I get that. I definitely get that. I was fine with the will they, won't they, but I can definitely understand that perspective.
Barco would have been fine if they didn't keep trying to pair them with literally anyone else.
But in regards to, say, like Mission Impossible, that sounds like an exception that proves the norm. It's the movie that you remember one scene more than the ending because with a more average or sort of middle of the road story, you still remember the ending?
Yeah.
Does that...
I mean, part of the reason why some endings do disappoint so much is because we love the story. The rest of the story was so great. Hence the question: can bad endings ruin good stories? If it's a mess story, then I don't think it would leave as much of an impact. If the story, is sucky at the end of the day.
That's a fair point. How mad can you be at the ending if you weren't super invested up till that point?
Well, I can actually name one movie that I feel like trespasses into that territory. But this Planet of the Apes remake. Where was that? 2001?
I remember that.
The Tim Burton one?
I forget if it was Tim Burton, but yes, this is the 2001 Planet of the Apes. Wasn't like high cinema to begin with.
Yeah,
but
2001 Tim Burton, yeah.
But then the ending was like a whole new level of bad.
2001 An Ape Odyssey.
I'm very grateful that I have no idea what you're talking about.
Fantastic.
Oh, well then, shall I spoil it for you?
Sure.
Would you like me to pop
I don't think we
your
care.
theory?
Oh my gosh.
I don't think
I
we care.
was wrong. It was Earth all along. You finally made a monkey. Everyone, yes, we finally made a monkey. You finally made a monkey out of me. I love you, Dr. Zaius.
Oh,
That's the
I
ending.
would have committed any number of crimes to have that ending over what we got.
You mean
Correct.
most of the ones you already commit?
When he goes back to DC and Earth is apes.
Earth is apes. The whole premise of the 2001 is that a lost colony of humans and test apes evolves on another world to where the roles are reversed. The apes conquer and humans are their slaves. Mm-hmm. Now, at the end, after they've conquered the evil ape general and are moving towards equality, somewhat like Samurai Jack, the main character tries to go back in time to avert the tragedy from ever happening. But as he crash lands in DC, because this guy actually sucks at piloting, he discovers that it's all apes, and the Abraham Lincoln Memorial now features the evil ape general, and that's where we cut out. I was like,
In
that
the movie. Dun dun dun.
I mean, that ending was several steps below the rest of the movie. But then I realized, that movie wasn't really high quality to begin with.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm glad I didn't see it.
It was pretty lame. I remember seeing that when it came out.
Yep.
So there's actually another point I want to bring up here is that and more of a point to why the ending is the most important thing is that there are plenty of examples out there where the ending made everything better because of because of how good the ending was. And the most recent example that I saw of this is coming into my head here, but I actually can't remember the name of the anime that Heather and I watched. So I'm going to step away from the computer for about 10 seconds here and get some help with that. So guys, entertain the stream.
Okay,
while I go do
when
this.
you say stepping away, can you still hear me when you're stepping away?
No, I cannot.
Okay, good. We'll talk shit.
Okay, Silver, here's the perfect time to practice your juggling.
Well, here we go. Circus afro, polka dot, polka dot, polka dot.
dies!
But yeah, let's talk about how much we hate Brony. And
What a prick, right?
Be careful, the whole country can hear you.
He's so hard.
he can't hear us. You lied to us, Brony. That's why we
All
just
right,
assumed
so
he is-
Look at that.
Yeah,
All right, so
He's
whatever,
civilized.
you guys can stop talking trash about me now. I'm back. So, okay, so Heather, we're talking about can bad endings ruin a good story?
Yeah.
And I'm bringing up that not only can they ruin a good story, but there's also the inverse to show that the ending is the most important thing. For example, that anime that we just watched where the girl liked nothing but chocolate and playing video games, and the magical wizard ruined her life so she would get into romance. What is the name of this show?
Romantic Killer.
Romantic Killer, ladies and gentlemen.
Never heard of it.
Thank
We've
you.
only seen season 1, but it feels
Yeah.
like the show's already gone full circle.
Well, there may or may not be a manga. I haven't looked into it, but let me tell you about Romantic Killer. So, I hated this show so much. Heather, was watching the show. Either made me watch the show with her, or she was watching the show and I happened to be in the room.
You happened to be there.
Yes.
I didn't
So
make you do nothing you didn't want to do. You were there willingly. You were a willing participant in this.
So, yeah, the premise is horrible. This weird wizard thing comes in and just goes, I'm taking away your cat, your chocolate, and your video games until you get a boyfriend. And she's like, I'm not going to get a boyfriend no matter what you do. But now this wizard is just making it so like all of the bad dating simulator tropes happen to her, and she just gets this harem of dudes flocking to her, and they meet all of the dating sim stereotypes, and I'm like, this sucks. That's
the
Yeah.
point, because you're
Right.
supposed to suffer with her because she hates it, but she's like,
I hated the whole premise, I hated the whole execution, and then
It sounds like you should not watch that show.
this happened. One of the dudes was like he had changed schools and was distant from everybody because at his last school he was super popular and super attractive, and he caught the attention of this absolute yandere psychopath stalker that did everything she could to ruin his life and turn his family against him, and it changed the whole, this is like in the last 3 episodes of the show, and it changed the whole story from whatever the frick that was to genuine, heartfelt, realistic portrayals of like abuse and how male victims often go unheard or not believed, and it was just very genuine, but it was like right at the end, and at the end I'm getting so mad, like, how freaking dare you make me enjoy this show?
Dude, it was
How
really
dare
so.
you
I
suddenly
kind
be
of wonder
good.
if all that other stuff was just filler, so they could attack this topic, because I've never ever seen this before in an anime where they I can't say what actual male victims go through in these scenarios, but I gotta say from what I've understood and seen, this is the most realistic take I've seen on it, and how such victim blaming can happen. And you know what? I'm just gonna make a video reviewing the series so people can talk about it.
Yeah, so everybody go
Nice.
subscribe to
Good idea.
Heather's channel if you're not already. she's,
This was all an ad. We were bamboozled. This was an ad the whole time.
Bronny,
I told you Bronny was evil.
yeah, so
I mean,
so that is why the ending is the most important part, because not only do we have so many examples of the bad ending, you would love this show, and then it had this bad ending and it ruined it. The ending is the most important part because of things like that, and that's just the one that's at the top of my head because we watched that show a month ago. So I don't know. What do you guys think of everything I just said? I know I've been rambling for a while here.
Bronny, I need
can
you
you
to stop
sum
holding
up?
back.
Okay,
I
so
know, right?
so
Say what
this
you
was
really
an
think.
this was an example. That was a very passionate, drawn out example of why endings are the most important thing, and why if your ending is bad, it does ruin your story, because it works in the inverse as well, where you can have a crap concept and a crap execution and be miserable, and then right at the end turn it into something really good.
That's a good ending ruining a bad story that you probably would have enjoyed hating.
That is
Yeah.
a good
Yeah.
ending, fixing an otherwise bad story.
Yeah, and
Nice.
that's promotion for Heather's video has worked, because now I'm curious to go see it.
I
Well,
know, right?
she said she's got to make it,
Got to make the
Yeah, I
video.
know. I'm looking forward to it because
and by she's got to make it, I mean I got to make it, because I've edited her last 3 or 4 actual videos. But yeah, so that's all to my point of why the ending is the most important thing, because a good ending can fix a bad story, but a good story can be ruined by a bad ending. So with all that out of the way, what do you guys think?
Well, Bronny, let me return to Star Butterfly versus the Forces of Evil for a moment. So the ending of that, I agree, was not a good ending, and your ranting about it made me realize. So how many dimensions and how many magic-based creatures were just genocided when they killed all of the magic in the universe? Probably a lot, right?
Marco was
would you
chasing
say-
Hekapoo for 20 years through all these dimensions.
Would you say that probably half of all creatures in these multi-dimensions died as a result of magic not existing?
I don't like where you're going with this.
Star Butterfly versus the Force of Evil had the Thanos snap as an ending, and they spun it as a happy ending. That's why it sucks. It was literally a Thanos snap, and everyone's like, now we get to date. Yay!
Well, you know what's even worse, though, is that they used a genocide to stop a genocide.
Yeah.
Oh, the
How
irony.
very Thanos of them.
And okay, but to return to the question at hand, can you not enjoy Star versus the Forces of Evil the same way again, knowing that's how it ends?
I can, because it's so fun. The journey along the way is so fun. It
Alright, so
does.
the end-
it,
yep.
it hampers it a little bit. It definitely hampers it a little bit on the rewatch.
All right, so a little, so it partially ruins it.
Yeah, I'll give it that.
So I've told the story a dozen times of how Magical Mystery Cure made me headbutt my door off the hinges for how mad it made me. That was going to be the original, that was originally plotted to be the ending of Friendship is Magic. If that was the ending of Friendship is Magic, I probably would not be here right now. Like, I don't think I would have been able to stick around in the fandom. It was like, okay, so we get 2 really good seasons, and then a 75% good 3rd season, and then it ends on at the time the worst rug pull I'd ever seen in a show. Like, I would never be able to. If it had ended like that, I would have never been able to rewatch an episode of Friendship is Magic, because I would have just been sitting there the whole time going, yeah, but then Twilight becomes an alicorn, and none of it made any sense Oh, we got a donation. What do they say? Somebody tipped $1. Right? Okay, so you all heard that, right?
Yes.
I heard many.
I heard, but it came like
I
gibberish.
think I heard it, but I'm not sure if I could comprehend it.
Yeah, there were a bunch
repeat
of different questions there. I actually don't know if the stream heard it. Can I get a confirmation? Can I get a confirmation from the stream chat that you guys heard it? Because I was looking at OBS while it was playing, and my desktop audio and my guest audio was not moving. So in case they didn't hear it, they had okay. So let's break those down. Do cliffhangers count as bad endings?
Yes.
If there's nothing, if nothing goes beyond it, then yes.
If it's a bad cliffhanger.
Well, I mean, look, I say this as someone who watched a lot of cartoons in the 90s that tried to trick or guilt networks into a second season by ending on a cliffhanger, and it never worked. They were like, goodbye. I mean, Reboot is perhaps my greatest part pang.
Oh yeah, I heard about this. Reboot season 4
Painful.
like just never got finished.
Really? Because I was just talking to someone earlier who said Reboot did get an ending.
Well,
that's a dumb wrong person.
yeah,
Well,
I'm
she said it
not
was
sure.
finished on a different channel.
I think Reboot got a reboot in of itself or something like that.
God. We don't talk about that.
That's
No,
a
it's not the
long
live
rabbit
action.
hole.
We do not.
It
I
was
will.
it aired on Toonami.
I will terminate the next person who tries to bring up the Guardian Code.
But you just brought up the Guardian Code.
Uh-oh.
That's right. So excuse me a minute. Oh God! I shot myself in the knee. Why did I do that?
Again.
No, calm down there. Calm down there, Bart.
Okay, so let me walk y'all through this. Reboot had one cliffhanger, and that seemed to be it for a while. But then in Canada, they kept the series going. So here in the US of A, we then got extra seasons, and there was much rejoicing. Yay!
Yay.
But then even those extra seasons, some of which were compressed into sort of made-for-TV movies, were ended on a cliffhanger that was never resolved. And even the introduction of the Guardian Code, there goes the other knee, that did not address the ending. Like everything else, it assumed you were too stupid to remember. So Reboot was a wonderfully comedic, dramatic series, but it ended on a cliffhanger that never, ever, ever got resolved.
Correct.
And that's
tragic.
hard.
And it never will. The story of the conundrum, or just the comedy of errors of trying to bring back Reboot, it will never ever be finished. It's dead. It's like Robotech. The Sentinels will never be made.
Oh God, that movie.
Never. Well, yeah, they made that pilot movie that I have the Robotech box set, so I have the unfinished movie. Was me, mate. It's so nice that the internet historian was able to make it to this debate. I'm starstruck.
Yeah.
Well, we just got another donation. Still don't know if the stream can hear it.
I don't think they.
I don't think
they did, and I'm very sorry about that to the stream. That's a
so they don't even know the jokes I'm making. It sounds exactly. That's the internet historian. Generic like Aussie like voice.
Yeah, so that was one of the settings things I told you guys about before the stream. We had to try to fix things up a little bit, and now you guys can hear when we get donations, because that was a problem we had before. Is the Discord call was talking over the donations, but the stream was able to hear them, and now it's the other way around. So anyway, I guess I'm glad I never watched Reboot, a similar situation that I'm aware of, with coincidentally a similar show Code Lyoko. Because apparently they had their last animated season, I think it was 3 or 4, and then they moved into like a hybrid live action animated sort of thing, and all of those ended on cliffhangers, which were supposed to be the ending, and then there was an ending in the books where they defeated the supercomputer, and then there was another, but then like season 5 was supposed to be the ending as well, where they defeated Zeta, and they're different. And from what I understand, because I don't know, I fell out of Code Lyoko during season 3, but from what I heard, they were both all right endings, but bad for different reasons. So I have it sounds like a similar situation there. Let me ask you guys this, because Silver, you were saying, cliffhangers are bad endings. Does it make a difference the medium that the story is being told in? So for example, I think, what was it? It got adapted into an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. I think it was Ender's Game. The one where
I don't think that was Schwarzenegger.
I'm very bad at remembering titles in case you guys
Harrison
haven't
Ford.
No.
Harrison Ford was in Ender's Game.
Yeah, that's Harrison Ford.
Are you talking about Total Recall?
Total Recall.
Yeah, Total Recall.
There you go.
Same movie.
Well, game show. It was a dystopian game of death sort of game show kind of thing. Running Man.
Hey, honey, let's go to Mars.
It probably was Running Man. Well, I remember hearing that the book of that ended on a cliffhanger of the main character flying a plane into like the corporate headquarters because he had lost, and it was just a very bad ending where but that's kind of a cliffhanger. There was another movie. I'm making another
spoiled that book. You literally just spoiled that book for me. I'm actually reading that book.
I'm so very sorry. I didn't know.
Well, go back to our spoiler debate, and then I don't care.
Okay, well, good.
Remember my stance on spoilers?
You know what? Now that you remind me, yes. And I'm just making an utter fool of myself tonight because I don't remember the other example I was about to bring up, but it was a British movie, and they had stolen a whole bunch of gold, and they had pretty much gotten away with it until the bus that they were driving like went over a cliff, and they had to like balance themselves on the, they had to stop the bus from going over the cliff, and they all died, but they also were trying to get the gold off of the bus, but the gold was at the other side of the bus, and it's just a guy climbing slowly to the end, and then the movie ends with him going, "Okay, I have an idea." And so cliffhanger ending, but that could just as well be part of the story itself, or maybe it's supposed to end on that cliffhanger. So ultimately, does the medium change whether or not a cliffhanger ending is a bad ending?
Not necessarily.
I would argue no. I think a dissatisfying ending is a universal obstacle.
Indeed.
Yeah, just in any form of storytelling, really.
Although, if I ever do become a published author, maybe I'll mess with my audience and just have the last page say, the publisher ran out of a budget for the rest of this book. If you would like to find out what actually happens, please send your money to at PayPal and see if I can actually make him. Can I hold a story hostage? There's a question.
Work for a Sir's Wrath.
I'm not writing this ending until I get $500.
Oh, you know something? I read a Tumblr post yesterday, and it went something like this: if I'm a published author, I'm going to release, and I know this post. Yeah, I think he said 10 different versions. The story's going to have 10 different endings. Oh, we got another donation. What did they say? Here's a trick question. Can bad endings be spoilers for how a series is supposed to go out? So ponder on that while I finish my story. So he says, I'm going to release 10 endings in various varying degrees of rarity between all of these, and watch the fans argue with each other but never acknowledge it. And then someday when I finally do acknowledge it, I'll say, yes, I wrote 11 different endings for that story, and watch them scramble try to find the 11th ending.
Yes.
I mean, at that point, you might as well just write a choose your own adventure book.
I guess so. So yeah, that question, can bad endings spoil? Goodness, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I already forgot exactly how the question went. You guys heard it, right?
Can bad endings spoil how an intellectual property is going to go out?
That's a very odd, specific question.
So that's okay. So that sounds like it's asking, can you spot red flags for a series having a bad ending, or
Okay.
if an ending is bad enough, can it kill the franchise?
If an ending falls in the forest, is it still shit?
Ooh, and is this? Can I plug my doom flags at this point? Because they're raising all the warning signs. Doom flag.
Yep, I still got mine that I got from you back at Ciderfest a few years ago.
I got mine hanging over one of my monitors here.
I never got to buy one.
We can fix that.
I don't go to conventions anymore.
But yeah, that just sounds like that question just sounds like a roundabout way to ask the original question. Can you no longer enjoy the original story as is? No, if the ending ruined it for you.
Yeah.
You know,
And yeah,
You just go back and you rewatch it, and you know that it's all leading up to this horrible thing, and that your questions are going to be unanswered, or they're I think it definitely does. And
he ruined everything. The time traveler. He saved baby Hitler, and he hit Sarah Connor with his car.
but I'd argue though that you're still gonna watch the older episodes with knowledge of how it ends, and that will affect your perception one way or another.
yeah. Another example that my friend Al171 brought up to me in the earlier once was the Book of Korra, Book 2, and apparently, from what I've heard, that also had a very very disappointing.
Was bad. Was bad. Like literally lore destroying season finale.
Does that ruin the rest of the story?
it means the rest of the story wasn't very good. And yeah, that for Korra, I would definitely say that I watched 4 seasons of that show, waiting for the characters to have any redeeming qualities. And
that's funny.
Well, again, it sounds like there was some problems with the writing even before the ending.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I can definitely tough things out. Oh, we got another Emerald just tipped. Emerald Spencer just tipped, and I think he says, testing to see if Brony fixed my screw up. No, I did not fix your screw up because I don't know what the settings are. I don't know how any of this works. We gotta figure this out. But anyway, yeah, I can tough things out if the premise is there. I watched 365 episodes of Bleach waiting for it to get good because I loved I thought the premise was super interesting of the way they depicted Shinigamis, of the character designs, the hollows, all of that. I thought it was really good, and I was just waiting so long for the characters to not be stupid and the story to make any amount of sense, and then it never did.
I'm so sorry that you waited in vain.
Yeah.
I could have told you it was in vain.
Well, you know something, I should have, later on I learned that the same author the same author made One Piece, and if I had known he was also doing One Piece...
Oda?
Yeah.
No.
Wait, no. Oda did not do Bleach.
Author?
He didn't?
Oda did not do Bleach, no.
I thought he... Okay, so someone lied to me then.
Very different manga.
Okay, well, okay, so I apologize for that. I didn't know. Someone told me they
Fake
were.
news.
They lied to me, but later on I thought that Bleach and One Piece were written by the same person, and then I said, oh, that makes sense as to why it sucks.
I'm gonna get
See,
you
what you
banned
did
on
wrong was
YouTube
probably
for
watching
spreading
filler.
misinformation.
And now Brony has sent the most magical of magics out there. The magic of butt hurts.
See, Brony, the issue is half of Bleach is filler. Half of the Bleach
Half?
anime is
Half.
filler.
You're being generous.
75% of Bleach is
Yeah.
filler.
It really sucks how much of it ended up being filler. I need to get around to actually watching the latest season though.
For years I've been saying that if I could swap the fates of two shows, it would be I wish that Firefly had many seasons and been successful, and I wish that Bleach was canceled. The anime was canceled immediately after the first Soul Society arc. I would love to swap the fate of those two shows and see what happens.
I'm sure you're not alone on that.
In time, yeah. Because then we could all be like, because the Soul Society arc was pretty good. Aizen was revealed as a villain. Oh no, they're so strong. Ichigo has his Bankai, but it's not strong enough. What will we do? Oh, and then we could all be, what a cliffhanger, it got canceled. What could have been? And then we would have, like 10 seasons of Firefly, and we would be in the better timeline.
We got another donation here. I'm getting a lot of donations tonight. Oh my God. I feel so bad. Hopefully people on the stream are reading these donations as they're coming in, because I can't hear them.
Funny.
We can't hear them on the stream, and I feel so bad for everyone who's donating tonight.
I can see them on. I can
them.
see them on the stream. I just don't know if they can be heard.
Yeah, they can't be heard.
Just read
was,
them. Just read them when they come in.
Yeah.
So you're saying they should be seen and not heard?
My OBS is all messed up here. I gotta fix it. I'm seeing a lot of new names in the chat tonight, and I'm very grateful you guys are tuning in, and hopefully I've earned your continued viewership despite all these technical difficulties here. But with that, we can get into other audience participation here, unless somebody else wants to throw something in real quick.
Well, chat did remind me of one, and I wanted to get your guys' take on it if you've seen it. Does the ending of the original Teen Titans cartoon count as a cliffhanger?
Yes.
From what I've heard, yes.
Well, from what I've been told and has been stated by the creators, it was not intended as a cliffhanger. That is the ending.
I kind of got the sense that it was just an ending, that they weren't trying to set anything up for a sequel.
I think that after all was said and done, the makers of Teen Titans decided that they hate, with some good reasons, but I think that they just decided that they hate the fans and just would say whatever to piss people off. Like, I take everything the creators of Teen Titans say with a grain of salt, just because of the animosity they had for the fans.
Even the actor said so, that it would there was no season 6 planned.
Okay, sure, but there's no way you end with, "You're Terra, right? What are you talking about? I have no memory." End of show. There's no way that you plan that.
Yeah,
that's
they
plan
did
A.
actually. According to what's been stated, the ending was intended to be things. When you grow up, things change. That's life.
Yeah, I got that impression.
But the execution on it is so awful.
That was the ending. It wasn't a cliffhanger.
Now, that might be... Teen Titans might be another exception there, now that I think about it. Because, yeah, you can skip that... you can skip that last episode, because that last episode has no tie to anything else that was going on in the show. It was pretty much just another standalone episode that just happened to be the end. And, when you look at it, if you end up looking at it from that perspective, Teen Titans doesn't have, like, a real ending. Oh, we got another donation here.
Here we go again.
What does it say? Brony has been defeated by boomerisms.
What else is new?
Yeah, that's pretty much my life. I don't fit in my own generation. I don't fit in here. I don't know anything. I can't remember the name of half the shows I'm freaking referencing tonight. It has not been a good night for me, ladies and gentlemen. My sound settings are all messed up.
But look at how many donations you're getting. See?
I know, right? And I don't deserve any of them because nothing is working. Ah!
That's so funny.
I'm having a freaking existential crisis over here.
Oh, and don't forget, butt hurts.
This is a horrible ending. This is a horrible ending. All of my streams and a buck to the face, a moral of the story, are all retroactively worse because of tonight.
Damn.
Now Silver just needs to spam that thing, you know.
Nobody can ever enjoy any of my shows because of how bad my performance has been tonight. They know how much of a screw up I am. There is no recovering from this.
Wait, we were supposed to be enjoying these?
You're
not helping.
a lot there.
Alrighty then. So let's see. The first one I noticed from the chat, relatively early on, Harriman says, in my opinion, no matter how good the series is, if the ending sucks hard enough, people will forget the rest of the series. And we've talked a little bit about that tonight.
I don't know about forget, but definitely hurts their enjoyment and makes re-watching the series much more painful.
Alrighty then. Let's see here. Does anybody else want to add to that?
Well, I know there's one kid on Twitter who constantly keeps spamming
incoming
donation.
If anime filler was cake frosting, I would be a diabetic. Says that.
That's good.
Yeah, good one. Anyway, as I was saying, outside of one kid on Twitter who you know this hashtag, save MLP, that one guy.
Yeah.
He was that stupidity.
Mixmaster 226. He was a patron of mine for a while, and I don't know why.
Yeah,
He's trying to buy your support.
Yeah, there's just this one guy who constantly keeps saying that the ending for G4 MLP was terrible, and honestly, I thought it was really good. I thought it was a really nice ending. The actual full ending I'm talking about, the last problem. I thought that was a pretty solid ending. I thought it was, for the most part, satisfactory. So, first of all, do you all agree?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love the ending. I thought it was great. I don't understand the people that don't.
There's certain plot points throughout the show that I wish they had explained better, but
I agree.
Yeah, and it's not a perfect ending because there are unanswered plot threads, but it's not a bad ending by any means.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I had us do a show because I saw one of those comments and I thought it was just so stupid.
Yeah, there are some things I wish they could have still could have addressed in Friendship's Magic, and I think they kind of wasted their too much time, not addressing it at all. But the ending itself, as is, I thought was for the most part very satisfactory, especially the ending song. Like, that was very, very sweet note to end on.
Oh, yes.
As for G5, well, that's a whole other can of worms to discuss. But anyway, there is this one person on Twitter who constantly keeps trying to petition, trying to get Hasbro to. I'm not sure what his issue is. I don't know why he even hates the ending to begin with, because he keeps trying to get Hasbro's attention, and I kind of want Hasbro to acknowledge him and just say the simple word no. Just no, and that'd be the end of it. I would love that.
I think Quantum Hippologist did a video about this guy. He's great. He's great.
He is great. I love his videos.
Yeah, and he's like, first of all, you haven't even. I think he addressed that the guy doesn't even really have an argument as to why he doesn't like the show. But it's like, if you want something like this to happen, you're going to need to raise millions and millions of dollars for the animation. And what's your plan on how are you? There's no way to convince Hasbro after they've already moved on to another generation that they're going to do that. So his best bet is to do it himself. Where are you going to get those millions?
Yeah. Now, as for let's just quickly touch on this. Does G5 ruin G4? I
No.
would say no, because it is so distant in the future as far as we're aware. Like, no utopia is going to last forever. Like, things can and will go wrong. As for what happened exactly, well, we still don't know. It's been, I think, almost like a year and a half or so into this generation, and we still have very little information to go off of.
The comics
That's
have been
because-
dropping some hints, but it's still being left very vague, and I kind of hope they keep it that way.
And it doesn't
I don't
help that
think I wanna know.
their release schedule is horrific.
Oh yeah, I hate this binge release. I do not like it. It really just
Yeah.
it
Does anyone
makes
even
the
know
wait
what that
much
type
more.
looks like?
It makes the wait much more arduous. I mean, for a while, at the very least, every week we had a Tell Your Tale episode, but now it's every 2 weeks, so the wait is even more painful.
Peldon Pony T says, what would you say about a story ending the way the writer had no choice but to change it? His sentence structure is kind of weird there, so I might not be interpreting this question entirely right. But if I am understanding the question right, 2 words: Mass Effect.
I was
was wondering-
thinking of Mass
I was
Effect.
wondering when someone was going to bring up Mass Effect 3.
Yeah, I heard Mass Effect 3's ending, caused a lot of controversy from what I've heard.
Yeah,
think
so
I-
either and if because I don't know anything about it, so we got
Controversy.
2
the world
options.
almost ended in 2007 when that game. That's how big of a deal that was.
Yeah, so we got 2 options here. Either I can go get Heather again, or Cordero can go get his roommate who knows a lot.
Chris isn't here. Chris isn't home. But
crud.
we need to structure a debate. Oh, this would have been a good one for Mass Effect, and just have him come on as the Mass Effect expert if we ever want that situation explained.
Oh, another $1. Let's see what they say.
Making it rain on you tonight.
So, did anybody else catch that whole thing? I missed the beginning of it.
I'm not sure I can barely comprehend that robotic English speaking.
Yeah.
I was saying that, like, YouTube analog horror is having better stories and endings than most modern media.
Mm.
I've yet to see one end.
Now, I'm afraid I was looking up an answer to the previous question, because I can do you one better than Mass Effect in terms of forcing an alternate ending.
Tell me.
Oh,
DC Comics and their introduction of the Monarch. Not to be confused with the Monarch of Venture Brothers, but
I was just thinking of Venture Brothers, honestly.
Which plotline was that? Which plotline was that?
I remember.
No,
the Monarch
I
was-
actually don't know what the what the Monarch is. Or we're getting all these comments awkward because of the freaking silences on the.
The Monarch.
yeah. But here's the basic story. There was a multi-parter of the Justice League, I think, because it featured multiple DC superheroes. But there was a villain called the Monarch, full body armor set, so you couldn't know their true identity. The premise was that the Monarch was the future version of one of the heroes, come back to betray everybody. So they had a plan all set, and then someone leaked the identity of the treacherous hero. And this was well before the internet, where leaks are almost a way of life now. This was
Incoming.
Yeah,
more
I
donations.
heard something about heresy, but it didn't.
Yeah,
I
all I made out was heresy.
I heard Princess Peach heresy.
Sure.
Anyway, so but DC had to essentially change the ending, because now everything they planned, laid out, and built towards no longer worked because it had been spoiled. So suddenly Captain Atom became the Monarch, and ever since, they have tried to find multiple ways to get him back in that suit of armor, trying to make it work, even though a leak basically ruined the plan.
Ouch.
And yes, people were very frustrated by that story, as it made little sense because it was not part of the plan.
Well, that's
Yeah, that's so dumb. Just because it was leaked doesn't mean you should change it.
Yeah.
If you're only going
I
for
agree.
if your only purpose for it is a plot twist, it's not good.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole separate discussion about spoilers and everything. About if a spoiler if you need to be, if you have to rely on the shock value of a spoiler for a twist or something like that, is it a good story to begin with? I mean, I guess that could kind of depend, but I think in most cases, like, no, even if you are spoiled, you should still be able to enjoy the story as is.
I agree.
Oddly, didn't we debate that once?
we
I
did.
think we did.
Yes, we
Yeah,
did.
I think you might have.
Okay.
We did a whole thing on spoilers. I know that.
Alrighty. Well,
Yeah. So
anywho,
last one that I found was Big Onion Bean said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how sus are bad endings to good film shows, games, and are there any shows of mind where such signs are among us? So I think that was one of the donations that came through.
Has anyone ever been so far even as decided want to do look more like? That's what you just said.
That's what. Well, we can thank Big Onion Bean for that, as well as the $1 he tipped along with it back then when he needed that
It
written.
sounds like it was a meme.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
are you sure it wasn't just a lot of wordplay around Last of Us, or Among Us? Because that's what I'm hearing.
I literally I could barely understand a word of that.
How much sus can one Among Us be on the sus from sus
Al
to sus?
actually brings up a pretty good story example here.
How much
Yeah.
sus could one Among Us be if one sus could Among Us?
That
just sounds like a tongue.
Could Among Us sus if Among Us could sus.
This is just.
Oh, dear Lord.
This is getting out of hand.
I don't like tongue twisters.
I'm gonna learn that one. I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I think
He'd sus as much sus Among Us as such. If
I think
Among
the
Us could
stream
sus
heard
us.
it at the very least, but now I don't know if you guys heard it.
God.
Oh man.
I don't. Anyway, I was gonna say another example that my friend Al has pointed out is that Gene Roddenberry spoiled that Spock was going to die in Star Trek II, and he did it out of spite.
Really?
Oh, wow! I'm supposed to be the Star Trek guy. I didn't even know about that.
Fight for what?
I hear the judgment in your.
Well, what I'm curious now as to why he would feel the need to do that. Like, why did he hate Star Trek so much that he would spoil that?
Okay, first of all, Gene Roddenberry did not hate Star Trek.
He made it.
That was his baby. And he absolutely loved it.
Okay, but I heard
let me
the
squash
words
that
I
real
heard.
quick. He did not hate Star Trek.
The words I heard was he spoiled it out of spite. So I'm got it.
Yeah, so he was mad at someone. Probably, I guess, fans or something. I don't know. That's weird because Gene Roddenberry historically didn't have a bad relationship with fans.
Mega Buster Shepard says
interesting.
Gene Roddenberry was a very spiteful guy.
Huh.
Well, sure.
I think I've heard something like this before, but I don't quite remember.
Alrighty then. Well, did anybody else see any chat that they wanted to address? I didn't really see a whole lot, so I think we can wrap it up there. It's been a heck of a stream. Yeah. Real quick, we'll go around, wrap things up. Silver, closing thoughts and one thing you learned.
Well, I can appreciate when an ending is so bad that people really feel they can't enjoy it again. I still think that usually there are some signs that the writing is going downhill, but it may not.
We got another
really...
one.
Here we go again.
Great show so far, guys. Boomerisms aside from Brony lol also, the cat did nothing wrong. Attention Bajoran workers on the panel, please be sure to purge pineapple from your pizza.
What did it say this time?
Okay, so now you guys can't hear it, but the stream can. This is absolutely hilarious to me. He was just saying, good show.
Good shit.
Yep.
Good shit. Great.
Yep.
Okay.
So, Silver, continue.
Okay. So what I think is the impact of the ending may be the most obvious sign of the writing going downhill. I think if people took some time to look over what was happening in the lead up, they might see some of the flags in hindsight, but really it is the ending that makes the greatest impact. Now, I've gotten to hear about many shows and especially animes that invoked the butt hurts. But I'm especially curious to know about Gene Roddenberry spoiling The Wrath of Khan, and that apparently what I knew about Monty Python and the Holy Grail was not entirely accurate.
And that was certainly an added detail. I didn't know that. Okay, so Paladin Pony T clarified what I was saying is this: is a ending bad if the writer is forced to change it?
Not necessarily.
There's a lot of factors involved.
There really is. I don't think I could give a good answer to that.
That's definitely not a blanket yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, time especially is a very critical factor.
Yeah, so that's alrighty then. Cordero, closing thoughts on one thing you learned tonight.
I'm pretty much where I started. Direct answer to question: can a bad ending ruin a work? Yes, it absolutely can, and happens many times, and we talked about some of them. Will it always do it? No, not necessarily.
All right. And what'd you learn?
I learned that I'm pretty smart and attractive. Go me.
Well, that second part could definitely be a debate all on itself.
How dare you? My self-confidence.
First of all, you are way too bald to be attractive.
Listen.
How very much dare you, sir? I'll have you know that shiny dome can drive many a soul to.
I am bald by my own volition, I'll have you know. It's definitely not because my hairline is awful.
And Silver's not, totally bald yet. He's just like 3/4 bald.
Yeah, I'm on the way out.
Yeah, and Silver, like, I don't know if you noticed, but the last time we were hanging out at Everfree Northwest, and you stopped a Celestia cosplayer to ask her for a picture, and she said, and I'm gonna try to imitate this as good as I possibly can. Oh, I'll do anything for you, Silver. And you just, I don't know if you let that fly over your head, or if you just straight up didn't notice, but I'm like, holy crap. Everyone else I know, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, boing.
Wow.
I likely heard it, but didn't want to put her on the spot like that.
She kind of put herself on the spot, didn't she?
Well, if you call attention to it, I don't want to make someone feel uncomfortable.
Are you sure it wasn't a Princess Cadence cosplayer?
I wouldn't have asked for a cosplay photo then. Oh,
pew, 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 pew. Holy crap, shots fired.
Good one.
Okay, so for Cordero's next birthday, I'm gonna get him a soundboard, so he doesn't have to do that with his mouth anymore.
Pew, 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 pew.
Oh, but you can do like the Final Fantasy victory. Da, 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 da.
There you go.
All right, before this gets any more out of hand, DJ, final thoughts on one thing you learned tonight.
Well, to answer the question again, can a bad ending ruin a good story? Abso-frickin-lutely.
Yep.
Ain't no change in that. It absolutely can. Will it always? Not always, but it can. As one thing I learned, Silver clearly has a lot of trauma from his favorite cartoons not being finished.
Oh, they paid the agony.
Don't worry, Silver. There's always reboots.
Oh,
that was cheap. That was a low blow.
Good one. Still.
Emerald Spencer says Silver would have went for it if it was a Luna cosplayer.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Oh, damn.
Oh, we got another one.
Pleads the fifth.
Man, you're rich.
Oasis.
Yeah, would you make $7,
mangoes.
$8 tonight on those donations?
and they've all been Among Us memes. Every single one of them that's
we'll
come
take it.
through has had some
Hey.
kind of reference to Among Us.
Listen, meme money is still money.
That's very, very true. All
Wait,
right.
have both of these been singles? Is Brony just the stripper in this scenario?
Yes.
Don't!
Yes. Correct.
Under any circumstances!
Dance. Here's $1. Here's
Silver,
$1.
you're not helping!
Do the dance.
Sexier.
Make a
Sexier.
little love.
I'm
Get
too
dynamite.
bold for this!
Get dynamite.
Brony's up on that pole.
I feel like your aggression at my baldness is actually just your self-hatred manifesting itself.
What else is new, okay?
Ladies,
I
rub
can't
that
wait
bald
this
head
to be
for
one of
good
the
luck.
shorts.
Oh man. Highlight reel, here we come.
Highlight reel shorts. Get on the clips, guys. Get on the
Right.
clip.
The next time YouTube tries to say this is just for kids, you play them this clip. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Animation is for fucking everyone.
SazerLite, did you get the most out of your topic suggestion?
Probably like 99.9% yes.
Alrighty
Close.
then.
That's the best we've ever done. Congratulations, best debate ever.
Yeah. As for any closing thoughts, well, for the most part, like I could probably safely say I could probably rewatch shows like Friendship's Magic and Samurai Jack and the like, and still enjoy them for the most part with even endings aside. I mean, even for Friendship's Magic, it still had a perfect finding, but for Samurai Jack, I'd say they still stand. Most of the episodes stand alone well enough that I can still get some enjoyment out of them. As for what I've learned today, well, I've learned that romantic killer is a thing. Never heard of that before until now, and now I'm curious.
I'm gonna. I mean, between all the technical difficulties and just my general performance tonight, I'm probably gonna perform seppuku after the stream. But I'm
Again?
also to add on to my egregiousness there. I recommend that show.
Why are you gonna play a number game?
Okay, now the pants go away.
Now the pants go away, he says. Okay, let's just wrap this up before it gets any worse. First of all, I wear a blazer. I wear a blazer. I don't wear pants.
Yeah, you should probably commit Sudoku then.
Yeah,
Brony, did you see Emerald's comment in the chat?
I did see that in before I burst into his office and shower him with singles. If he does that,
No,
he's
he's
going
supposed to-
through a wall.
He's supposed to shower
Heather's
you
gonna
with
beat him to
singles,
it.
though.
It'll be
Make it
Monopoly money
rain.
because I'm turbo broke.
Make it rain.
Well,
Millions of dollars.
listen.
Millions of
Monopoly
dollars.
Monopoly money, depending on how you use it, can be more valuable than the U.S. dollar.
Is that a threat?
I mean, we may reach that point eventually.
And
Who
we're
knows?
pretty much there now. It's been careening towards it
God.
ever since we got off the gold standard. That's another debate.
Post World War I marks.
So anyway, did everybody have fun tonight?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Perhaps too much.
Yeah,
This has
that
been
is
a lot.
that is all that matters. So hey, listen up, everybody. Right after this stream at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so in slightly less than a half hour, we're on Princess Heather Blossom's channel. I'm pretty sure she's playing Hogwarts Legacy tonight.
Ooh.
So yeah, go check that out. That link is in the description. If you'd like to be on the show, we'd love to have you. We'll just get you on the Patreon subscribe star for $1 a month. The links to that are all in the description. We're very grateful to everybody who supports, especially the $10 and up tier. This big long list we got to go through again. Princess Heather Blossom, Shady Oak Ministries, Sid McConroy, Autoknight, Emerald Spencer, Senko, DJ Skywalker, who's with us, Rein-Kun, Pony Cordero, who's with us, QFlash, Billy Henline, Alden MacManx, EasyModeGamer, Canto Acrylic VA, Mr. Sonic 31, Ridge the Hedgehog, Alicia Lynette, Zeta Z, Sniper Nighter, Calbeck, Star Chaser, and Dark Malcontent, author of the Metaverse series. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you guys next Friday for Friday Night Fights and Saturday for another Brony Debates. And then after that, we are doing Brony Debates on Sundays starting in May. So we'll hopefully see you there for all of those as well. Thanks to everybody who joined in, especially Neo Anton right at the end here. Says, walk in the room here. I don't wear pants. Walk out of the room. We're gonna
Son,
end it.
what are you watching over there? Oh,
Oh. Are you
Timing.
winning? Are you winning, son?
Oh,
yeah.
I'm winning, all right. I think I made $20 tonight. Have a good night, everyone. Stay safe. God bless. Say good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Shake it, Bronny. Shake it.
Sleep. Get some sleep.
Shake it
Earn
like
my
a
money.
Polaroid.
Earn my money, Bronny.
FBI, open up!